Hi folks, I've got my script over on the left-hand monitor here, so you're going to see me glancing over there during the course of the video. Let me know in the comments below whether you prefer more scripted content like this one, or more spontaneous, words are difficult, more spontaneous content that's more just me riffing on a series of topics that I might have some short quick notes on that could take a more rambly turn in the middle of the video. Anyways, let's get down to brass tacks. I've done a video covering my impressions of the broader balance changes coming our way in 3.15, in which I touched on some of the new skill gems most intriguing to me, but I ended up glossing over anything related to the League mechanic Expedition itself, so I figured I'd take the time to comment on that specifically here. There seem to me, from the limited info that we have, to be two distinct aspects to this upcoming League. The mechanic itself in maps and itemized expeditions will be blowing the heck out of presumably long dead and possibly fresh graveyards across Rayclast, and the gambling mini-games of sorts that the various vendors have on offer. Between the two of these, I'm more personally excited for the vendor crafting, gambling, whatever you want to call it, though I have some thoughts and concerns about both, and that's why I'm making this video. The expeditions and maps themselves are what make up the bulk of the mechanic, so let's dig into those. The timed nature of the explosions, resulting in distinct wave after distinct wave of enemies, is neat, and the planning of your route is also neat. So there are some aspects here that will differentiate it, I suppose, from your typical monsters in a circle mechanic, but I do worry that given a month and change into the League, it will feel a little different from your Legions and your Blights and your Breaches and so on. I personally don't see the mechanics we've been given so far as being enough to meaningfully hold it apart from those kinds of mechanics for me. However, there is certainly a baseline level of enjoyment that I'm sure to get from any well-made Monsters in a Circle League. Killing enemies in Path of Exile is pretty fun, after all. So this is less me saying that I'm sure to hate it or something, and more me saying that I'm sure to like it okay. I guess it's pretty neat. The mechanic seems very much to me a safe bet. But a safe bet that won't do enough interesting things, really, to ever truly be great. Perhaps that's the correct call, though, given the magnitude of the other changes expected to be hitting us this next League, though. I can certainly see why GGG would want to go with a safe bet when they're bringing the nerf hammer down across the board, or at least so they say. The spice on top here, in my mind, is the addition of the gambling and or crafting vendors, however you want to look at it, who excellently look the part of distinct and interesting NPCs. I'll scroll up to one of the rough and ragged looking guys and down to some of the others here. Look at the tubby fellow over there on the right. Sorry, I'm off script here. With minimal detail, though, it's going to be very hard to tell until we get into game with these fellows whether or not the pseudo-crafting mechanisms they provide will have any true staying power. By which I mean whether they'll still be relevant after, say, a week in Trade League or, a couple of weeks of playing a character in Solo Self-Found, if it's going to even matter gambling with the gambling vendor. Like, sure, you could get some rare with decent stats, but we all know that a rare with decent stats, it does not go a very long way in a trade softcore environment if you're just looking to make a profit off the mechanic. So that kind of remains to be seen. Likely the most exciting of these vendors, though, and the one that I think will actually remain relevant as a character progression tool through the endgame, is the big cowardly fellow whose name I have forgotten over on the right there. Where am I? As you go through the process of purchasing an item from him, he will offer to randomly improve it if you are only willing to spend a little bit more of the proprietary currency that each of these vendors use in their shops for each step of the way. There are many ways that a mechanic such as this could be implemented, from a system that straight up randomly applies a null, exalt, chaos orb effects to the offered item and essentially asks, hey, you want this? Hey, you want this? Between each step, to a system that is built with interlocking decision trees that will progress an item in certain ways depending on the steps previously taken in the vendor's course of crafting. Even simply applying the technology already there from things like Heist League to have lucky results sometimes thrown into the mix will make this system super interesting comparatively to a number of other crafting mechanisms in the game. And there are options to have things like perhaps fossil-specific or influence-specific mods occasionally show up at a premium. It remains to be seen exactly how this will play out, obviously, but I've got some hopes for this mechanic, certainly more than the monsters in a circle, as I mentioned earlier. Though, that said, I'm sure I'll have fun killing new monsters in a new circle. I'm a sucker for the visceral joy of ripping mobs of enemies apart in Path of Exile. Without much in the way of further information, though, this is where I'll need to end my rampant speculation and hype, for this video at least. Rest assured there will be more. Thank you for watching, and good luck in 3.15.